Okay, so chapter 6 is about doing inventory in different ways. So exercise 6-7, we're using a perpetual inventory system, which means we continually update it after each sale and each purchase. And we have then a list of transactions that happen during the year, and we know how many units are on hand at the end of the year. Okay, so whenever I'm doing one of these problems, what I like to do is first draw out my inventory account. Okay, so I know we have our transactions in a table, but it doesn't really show me chronologically how things happen or give me all of my dollar balances. Okay, so if I draw my inventory account, so the first thing I have is beginning inventory, and I have 7,200 units at $160 per unit. So that tells me my beginning inventory has a balance of $1,152,000. Okay, so the next thing to happen is a sale. So that means it's coming out of inventory. And I have a sale of 4,800 units. We see that we sell them at $300. That's the sales price, not the cost of goods sold price. So remember, what comes out of inventory is cost of goods sold. And then we also have the second journal entry that we have to do when we sell something, which is the sales and when we earn the revenue. That's where the $300 would go. Okay, so then we purchase 16,000 units at $168 each. So that gives me a total balance of $2,688,000. And then next I have a sale of 12,000 units. And then I purchased 15,000 units at $176 per unit. So I get $2,640,000. And then finally I have a sale of 11,000 units. Okay, so that shows me what happened throughout the period in a chronological order. So that's what I use to do my different inventory balances. Okay, so what's the total cost of the ending inventory according to FIFO? Okay, so remember FIFO means first in, first out. And this tells me how to calculate my cost of goods sold. So even if I'm asked what my ending inventory will be, I usually start with calculating my cost of goods sold, and then I can back into what my ending inventory is. Okay, so if we want to calculate our cost of goods sold under FIFO, the first thing we sell is 4,800 units. Okay, so for those 4,800 units, the first thing in was 7,200 units, so and I can use all of those. So I'm going to do 4,800 units times $160 per unit to get $768,000 for those units. Okay, the next thing I sell is 12,000 units. Okay, so since I'm under FIFO, I want to first use what came in first. And what came in first was the 7,200 units. Now I used up 4,800 of them, so there's only 2,400 left. So I'm going to do 2,400 units at the $160 per unit to get $384,000. Okay, so then I have 9,600 left, so I go to the next group of items that I purchased, which was the 16,000 at 168. So far I only need 9,600 of those at $168 per unit. And I get $1,612,800. Okay, so next I sell 11,000 12,000 units. Okay, so I haven't used up all of the 16,000 units yet. I used up 9,600 of them, so that tells me that I have 6,400 units left at $168 each. I get 1,075,200. And then for the remaining 4,600 units, I have to go down here to those that cost $176 each. So I get 809,600. Alright, so if I add all of that up, I get 4,649,600. So if I want to do my ending inventory, what is the only thing that I didn't use up was 15,000 minus 4,600 of the $176 units. That becomes 10,400 times 176. That's what they told me my ending inventory was going to be. So I get 1,830,400. Now if I add those two together, I get $6,480,000. And you'll see that when we do it under LIFO, the sum of my cost of goods sold and ending inventory will be the same. It's just allocated differently. Okay, so if we move on to LIFO. LIFO means last in, first out. Okay, so first thing we have is 4,800 units. When we sell those 4,800 units, the last thing in is the same as the first thing in, which is the 7,200 units at $160 each. So it's going to be the same. I'm going to have 4,800 units times $160 per unit, and I have $768,000 again. Okay, my next sale is 12,000 units. This is where things are going to become a little different. So if we go back up here to our T-chart, when I sell those 12,000 units, the last thing in was 16,000 units at $168 per unit. So I'm going to use those first because I want last in, first out. So when I sell the 12,000 units, the last thing in was 16,000 units at $168 per unit. So those are going to be the first thing out. So I'm going to do 12,000 units times $168 per unit to get $2,016,000. Alright, my next sale is for 11,000 units. So if I go back up here to my T-chart, when I sell 11,000 units, the last thing in was 15,000 units at $176, so those are going to be the first thing out. So I'm going to do 11,000 units times $176 per unit to get $1,936,000. So I get $4,720,000 for my cost of goods sold. So then what's going to be my ending inventory? I have some of each of them left. So I only used 4,800 units of the units that cost $160 each. I only used 1,100 of the 1,600 at $160 each. So I'm going to have 4,000 of those left. And then I only used 11,000 of the 15,000 at $176. So I'm going to have 4,000 of those left. So in order to do my ending inventory, I have 7,200 minus 4,800 at $160 each. So I have 384. I have 16,000 minus 12,000 at $168 each, or $672,000. And then I have 15,000 minus 11,000 of the $176 per unit each units, which is 704,000. So overall, my ending inventory is $1,760,000. And if I combine those two, we get $6,480,000, which is what we had when we did FIFO, just they're broken down differently to what's cost of goods sold and what's ending inventory.